Just take a look at this picture, or maybe this one. You probably know him as the 45th President of the United States.
I, Donald John Trump, do solemnly swear
that I will faithfully execute
that I will faithfully execute
the office of President of the United States.
The office of President of the United States.
But Donald John Trump's story goes far beyond the White House. Born in Queens, New York City on June 14, 1946, Donald grew up in a wealthy family. His father, Fred Trump, was a successful real estate developer who specialized in middle-class housing in Brooklyn and Queens. His mother, Mary Ann, a Scottish immigrant, was known for her discipline and work ethic. Together, they instilled in young Donald a sense of ambition, hard work, and determination.
Do you think wealth corrupts?
Certainly can corrupt.
There are two things in life, love and work. If you had to choose one, if it was a life and death situation, which one would you choose?
I would probably choose love.
You would?
I think so, yes.
From a young age, Donald was energetic, competitive, and determined to excel. At 13, his parents enrolled him at the New York Military Academy, where he learned discipline and leadership, skills that later defined his business and political life. After high school, he studied economics at the Wharton School, University of Pennsylvania, graduating in 1968. Donald Trump's childhood was shaped by more than wealth. His family operated like a small business empire, with each child expected to contribute. At the dinner table, his father, Fred Trump, would quiz them about numbers, construction costs, neighborhoods, and the business climate of New York City. From an early age, Donald learned that success required confidence, determination, and the ability to convince others of your vision.
Agreement with the Soviets than some of these professionals who've been trying to do it for years.
I didn't say me, Mike. I said somebody has to do it. If it were me, that'd be fine. I could do it. Somebody has to help this country, and if they don't, the country and the world are in big trouble. Because within a short period of time, as sure as we're sitting here, there's not going to be a country and there's not going to be a world.
Fred Trump played a central role in Donald's development. Known for being strict, disciplined, and strategic, he expected his children to carry themselves with the same seriousness he brought to work. Donald watched his father negotiate with contractors, demand efficiency, and challenge anyone who tried to overcharge him. Negotiations weren't just business interactions, they were battles, and weakness could be costly. Donald and his siblings were encouraged to excel in school, sports, leadership, and social influence. Naturally assertive, Donald often assumed leadership roles among his peers. Teachers recalled his unusual self-confidence and willingness to speak up, challenge authority, and step into roles others avoided. These traits sometimes caused friction, which is part of why his parents enrolled him at the New York Military Academy at 13. While some saw it as discipline, the academy suited him perfectly. Its structure, routine, and competitive programs matched his temperament. Rising through the ranks, he became a student leader, reinforcing discipline, clear communication, and command presence. After graduation, Donald attended Fordham University for 2 years before transferring to the prestigious Wharton School at the University of Pennsylvania. There, he combined rigorous academics with hands-on experience, commuting between Philadelphia and New York to stay involved in his father's projects. College wasn't a separate chapter, it was an extension of his business training. During this time, Manhattan captivated him. The towering skyscrapers, luxury buildings, and high-stakes world of real estate fascinated him. While his father focused on middle-class housing in outer boroughs, Donald saw Manhattan as the real challenge, a symbol of power, wealth, and influence. He studied construction, costs, architectural styles, and profit margins. He also noticed the value of publicity, seeing how public personalities attracted investors and opportunities. This understanding of media and visibility would later become a cornerstone of the Trump brand. Friends from college described him as ambitious, confident, and Trump Organization in 1968. He had already spent years learning the industry from the ground up. Understanding construction, negotiation, branding, and calculated risk, he was ready to transform his father's company into a far larger, more visible, and more influential enterprise than anyone in the family had achieved before. Family influence and early ambitions. Donald grew up in a large, ambitious family with 4 siblings, Mary Ann, Fred Jr., Elizabeth, and Robert. Family discussions often revolved around business deals, investments, and growth strategies. His father taught him the importance of risk-taking and negotiation.
I would never want to rule it out totally because I really am tired of seeing what's happening with this country.
Lessons that became central to his own career. While Fred focused on middle-class housing, Donald aimed for Manhattan skyscrapers, casinos, and iconic properties. By the late 1960s, he officially joined the Trump Organization, initially managing residential projects, but dreaming of something much bigger: early deals and Manhattan projects. Trump's first major Manhattan project was the Commodore Hotel, which he transformed into the Grand Hyatt Hotel in 1980. Next came Trump Tower, 1983, located on Fifth Avenue.
Welcome to Trump Tower.
A luxury skyscraper housing offices, apartments, and Trump's personal residence. During the 1980s, Trump expanded into Atlantic City casinos, including Trump Plaza, Trump Castle, later Trump Marina, and Trump Taj Mahal.
Mr. Trump, what's left in your life? You're 33 years old, you're worth all this money. You say you didn't say that you want to be worth $1 billion now.
No, I really don't. I just want to keep busy and keep active.
While these ventures gained him fame, they also involved financial risk, leading to bankruptcies in the early 1990s.
It allows me to come out stronger than ever. I see the deal as a great victory, and eventually the rest of the world will too. Being on the verge of bankruptcy, being bailed out by the banks,
Well, you don't have to say on the verge of
skating on
bankruptcy.
thin ice and almost drowning, that's a businessman to be admired.
You say on the verge of bankruptcy, Barbara, and you talk on the verge, and you listen to what people are
I
saying.
talk to your bankers.
Well, that's fine. And what do they say? I mean, depending on which banker you're talking to, what do they say? I'm the only one people write about. I mean, they don't write about other people.
Despite setbacks, Trump managed to restructure debts and continue expanding his empire.
Because it was like he got whacked right in the face. It was amazing.
Trump opened his third casino in Atlantic City in April 1990.
Lasers, fireworks, and miles of neon lights provided the color as Trump opened the Taj Mahal Casino Hotel in Atlantic City.
Manhattan risks, and the rise of the Trump brand. As Donald Trump stepped into Manhattan real estate, he quickly realized success required more than money. The city was a competitive battlefield where only the boldest developers survived. Deals depended on relationships, political maneuvering, and timely financing. Trump understood this early, attending city meetings, networking with investors, and learning how public perception could shape projects. In the financially struggling 1970s, New York faced abandoned buildings, rising crime, and economic instability. Most saw decay, but Trump saw opportunity. He believed revitalizing properties during a downturn could establish him as a major player once the city recovered. This mindset became the foundation for his earliest significant deals.
Shopping, restaurants, everything all over the Hudson River.
In the world. So this is a great addition to New York skyline.
The completion of the tallest concrete building.
The transformation of the Commodore Hotel into the Grand Hyatt was his breakthrough. Negotiating with Penn Central Railroad, the city, the State Development Agency, and Hyatt Corporation required charm, persistence, and vision. Securing a long-term tax abatement reduced expenses and attracted investors, setting a new precedent in New York real estate. Trump was no longer just a wealthy heir.
No talent and only moderate intelligence. If I've done anything, I've gotten NBC focused on by the city of New York, and I think that's very important. I think it's vital.
He had proven his skill in leveraging political relationships, public perception, and financial strategy. Following the Grand Hyatt, Trump focused on his largest dream, Trump Tower. Located on Fifth Avenue, it wasn't merely a building, it was a statement of power and luxury.
We really had the idea about 3 years ago when we realized the site was available, and we wanted to do something great, and this is really how it all came about.
Oh, you really have. What was the economic situation in New York back then?
The economic situation for this location has always been great. In good times and bad times, Fifth Avenue and 57th Street has always really been very strong. But generally the economic conditions in the country at that time were not very good. So I guess you could say that we did take a risk, a chance.
In a project of this magnitude, there must have been a lot of problems to deal with, but what was the single worst problem that you faced?
Well, we didn't have problems, but when you're going to spend the kind of money that we've spent on a building where we spend for the finest marble, for the finest bronze, for the finest everything else, you have to be careful, to be perfectly honest. because it really does add to your risk. And we decided to go absolutely first class all the way, and it's something we're very happy that we did.
Donald, now that you've completed the finest residential address in the world, perhaps, what do you do for an encore?
I don't know. Well, maybe I'd love to do something else like it again, but I'll never be given the opportunity. We'll never be able to have this kind of a location, this kind of a place. So in the pure real estate sense, we'll never be able to do this again, but we'll try and find something.
At a cost of about $1,000 per square foot, Trump Tower is really out of the reach of most of us. Do you think there can be such a thing as affordable, good design?
I think yes, but I think it's very difficult. Without the help of the federal government today, I think it's very difficult. Getting good residential design and getting the kind of money when you're paying interest rates of 11, 12, 13%, it really makes it prohibitive.
What pleases you most about the finished results?
I think the acceptance of the public, the acceptance of the architectural community, we've gotten the greatest reviews given to a building in many, many years, but the acceptance generally of the public, the numbers of people that have come in and used Trump Tower over the course of the last year since it's been, just starting to form and just starting to open. We're very happy with it. It's been incredibly well accepted.
It's got to be a great thrill. Thanks for joining us, Donald.
Demolishing the Bonwit Teller department store involved complex negotiations, legal hurdles, and managing union labor. But Trump navigated the obstacles to open a landmark that attracted luxury retailers, affluent buyers, and media attention, boosting his public profile.
If they've got the coins. Donald Trump, as I say, is just 33 years old. He took his father's rather modest by current standards real estate empire in Brooklyn and expanded it considerably. He now has an apartment for sale in a new Trump building called the Trump Tower going up on 5th Avenue. There it is. You can buy this apartment, one floor of it, one whole floor of that building, that is, $11 million altogether. You bought some prized properties at the bottom of the New York market in the 1970s. Inner cities have been pure gold since that time. Why? Because replacement costs have just gone up so much?
Well, no, not really. I had a great faith in New York. Primarily, our purchases have been in New York. And about 5 years ago, New York was not considered very hot, and cities in general weren't considered too hot. And we purchased the old Commodore Hotel, and we've reconverted that now into about $110 million Grand Hyatt Hotel, which is opening up next week in New York City. And we've made some other purchases that have been fine.
Is that your general advice to people who are interested in real estate investment, though? Look to the inner cities, look to old buildings and doing something with them?
Well, I like the inner cities. I see the inner cities as being sort of a wave of the future now. I think with the problems of fuel and the gasoline shortages and everything else, and the transportation, especially in the major cities such as New York and Los Angeles and Chicago, I see the inner cities as being probably, in terms of a real estate or in a real estate sense, probably the most viable investments.
But it's going to be expensive. Apartments in New York City alone, one bedroom, not very large at all, $650 a month. That's tough for the working class, isn't it?
And that's actually now a very low price. In fact, if you have any of them available, I'd like to maybe...
I know where I can sell 1,000 of them at that price.
Right.
Actually, that is a low
That's
price.
Right. That's really a very low price now. I know of a couple of buildings, for instance, an Olympic Tower, which is on 51st Street and 5th Avenue. Apartments are being rented by the condominium owners for $5,000 and $6,000 a month, and they're one-bedroom and two-bedroom apartments. So it's, when you say $600, even in other sections, it's almost becoming a low price.
What happens to some of the old buildings in the inner cities that are works of art? You were recently the object of a lot of controversy because you destroyed some sculptures on a building that you bought that the Metropolitan Art Museum wanted. Why did you have those destroyed, first of all, and what happens to the look of a city?
Well, what we had is we purchased a site with an old department store on it, the old Bonwit Teller store on 5th Avenue and 57th Street next to Tiffany, and we had to really take the building down. And there were many people that didn't want us to take it down. They wanted to try and preserve the building. But the building really was not worth, as an art building or an Art Deco building, it really was not worth very much. And we did take it down, and there was somewhat of an outcry, but I think that's generally subsided now, and I think people like what we're doing and like the building that we're putting in its place.
But couldn't you have saved just those sculptures that you had broken?
Well, it would have been very, very dangerous to have saved them. They weighed 2 tons, they were 15 feet high, they were about 2.5 feet thick, and if they would have fallen, they could have fallen the opposite way. If they fall into the building, you don't worry. If they fall out toward 5th Avenue, people could have been very badly hurt and killed, and it just, to me, it was not worth it. And they've really proven not to be very valuable art structures right now, and We've had appraisals done. In fact, even after the fact, we've had appraisals done, and they've turned out not to be very valuable.
Mr. Trump, what's left in your life? You're 33 years old. You're worth all this money. You say you didn't say that you want to be worth $1 billion.
No, I really don't. I just want to keep busy and keep active and be interested in what I do, and that's all there is to life as far as I'm concerned. I really am not looking to make tremendous amounts of money. I'm looking to enjoy my life, and if that happens to go with it, that's fabulous.
Give me one final bottom line. In 5 years, the price of a hotel room in New York City will go for?
It could be $1,000 a night.
Start saving your money, folks. Just one night, $1,000.
By the mid-1980s, Trump expanded into Atlantic City, acquiring casinos like Trump Plaza, Trump Castle, and the Trump Taj Mahal.
Castle, the crown jewel of Atlantic City.
He renegotiated debts, maintained key assets, and reinforced his image as a tough, high-profile entrepreneur. During this period, Trump also built his brand globally, licensing his name to products and buildings, including Trump Steaks, Trump Vodka, and Trump University, created revenue streams with minimum. This visibility not only amplified his business ventures, but also laid the groundwork for his future television and political career. These early deals weren't just milestones, they established a public identity that would later influence American business, media, and politics, Trump family, and business partnerships. Donald's personal and professional lives were intertwined. He married Ivana Trump in 1977, and they had 3 children, Donald Jr., Ivanka, and Eric, all of whom later joined the family business. Ivana managed interior design and operations, while the children helped with management and branding. Donald's second marriage to Marla Maples produced Tiffany, and his third marriage to Melania Knauss brought Baron Trump. Melania later became First Lady during Trump's presidency. Business expansion and media fame. By the mid-1980s, Trump had solidified his real estate empire. He acquired properties in Manhattan and Atlantic City and launched Trump Shuttle, a short-lived airline. But it was media presence that made him a household name. Hosting The Apprentice in 2004, Trump popularized the phrase, "You're fired."
All over "you're fired." Can you believe this?
Please don't fire me.
I will never do that. You're doing so well. How could anyone fire you?
Oh, thank you. Now, Mr. Trump, should I call you Mr. Trump?
You call me Donald.
Donald?
Absolutely.
Okay, I'll call you Donald. Donald!
And built a celebrity persona. His lifestyle,
Donald Trump is the Hugh Hefner of the 90s.
Marriages and business ventures kept him constantly in the spotlight. Political ambitions and 2016 presidential campaign. Trump's political interests began in the 1980s and 1990s with early flirtations with Republican and Reform Party candidacies.
Well, I don't know. I think I'd win. I tell you what, I wouldn't go in to lose. I've never gone in to lose in my life. And if I did decide to do it, I think I'd be inclined, I would say that I would have a hell of a chance of winning, because I think people, I don't know how your audience feels, but I think people are tired of seeing the United States ripped off. And I can't promise you everything, but I can tell you one thing, this country would make one hell of a lot of money from those people that for 25 years have taken advantage. It wouldn't be the way it's been, believe me.
But in 2015, he formally announced his run for President of the United States as a Republican with the slogan, "Make America Great Again." MAGA.
And we have something that's amazing. We have the people. I see the people. I see it everywhere I go. The people are so incredible. So we're going to take this country back. We're going to make America great again. And I say it now, and I've been saying it for the last week, and I see it. I know we can do it. We're going to take it. We're going to make it better than ever before. We can do that. Better than ever before. So
he built a team of allies and advisors: Steve Bannon, chief strategist; Kellyanne Conway, campaign manager; Jared Kushner, digital and policy strategy; Donald Jr. and Eric Trump, rally and fundraising management. Trump's campaign strategy broke traditional rules. Direct, unapologetic rhetoric.
We are going to build a great border wall to stop illegal immigration.
Media domination and controversies appeal to working-class voters.
I will be the greatest jobs president that God ever created. I tell you that.
Framing as an outsider fighting the establishment. By July 2016, he became the Republican nominee,
accept your nomination,
later defeating Hillary Clinton with 304 electoral votes to 227, despite losing the popular vote by nearly 3 million. Throughout the 1980s, 1990s, and early 2000s, he frequently criticized U.S. trade deals, political leadership, and the country's international position.
Control agreement with the Soviets than some of these professionals who've been trying to do it for years.
I didn't say me, Mike. I said somebody has to do it. If it were me, that'd be fine. I could do it. Somebody has to help this country. And if they don't, the country and the world are in big trouble. Because within a short period of time, as sure as we're sitting here, there's not going to be a country and there's not going to be a world.
Particularly pointing to economic imbalances with China and Japan.
Is that you don't have free trade. We think of it as free trade, but you right now don't have free trade. And I think a lot of people are tired of watching other countries ripping off the United States. This is a great country.
We let Japan come in and dump everything right into our markets and everything. It's not free trade. If you ever go to Japan right now and try to sell something, forget about it, Oprah. Just forget about it. It's almost impossible.
Us like we've never been ripped before. If you look at Japan, if you look at China, where we lose $100 billion a year with China.
These early remarks laid the foundation for key messages in his later presidential campaign.
I've dealt with them all my life. If you can't make a good deal with a politician, then there's something wrong with you. You're certainly not very good. And that's what we have representing us. They will never make America great again. They don't even have a chance. They're controlled fully by the lobbyists, by the donors, and by the special interests, fully. They control them. Hey, I have lobbyists, I have to tell you. I have lobbyists that can produce anything for me. They're great. But you know what? It won't happen. It won't happen. Because we have to stop doing things for some people, but for this country, it's destroying our country. We have to stop, and it has to stop.
Trump
now.
explored presidential ambitions several times before 2016. In 1988, he attended political events to speak on national issues.
It's not free trade. If you ever go to Japan right now and try to sell something, forget about it, Oprah. Just forget about it. It's almost impossible. They don't have laws against it. They just make it impossible. They come over here, they sell their cars, their VCRs, they knock the hell out of our companies. And, hey, I have tremendous respect for the Japanese people. I mean, you can respect somebody that's beating the hell out of you, but they are beating the hell out of this country. Kuwait, they live like kings. The poorest person in Kuwait, they live like kings. And yet they're not paying. We make it possible for them to sell their oil. Why aren't they paying us 25% of what they're making? It's a joke.
This sounds like political presidential talk to me, and I know people have talked to you about whether or not you want to run. Would you ever?
Probably not, but I do get tired of seeing the country ripped off.
Why would you not?
I just don't think I really have the inclination to do it. I love what I'm doing. I really like it.
Also, it doesn't pay as well.
No, it doesn't.
When he launched his campaign in June 2015, Trump approached politics much like his business ventures. Bold statements, strong branding, and a message that resonated with people who felt ignored.
The brand of the United States and make it great again. It's not great again. We need somebody that literally will take this country and make it great again. We can do that. And I will tell you, I love my life. I have a wonderful family. They're saying, Dad, you're going to do something that's going to be so tough. You know, all of my life I've heard that a truly successful person, a really, really successful person, and even modestly successful, cannot run for public office. Just can't happen. And yet that's the kind of mindset that you need to make this country great again. So, ladies and gentlemen, I am officially running for President of the United States, and we are going to make our country great again.
Make America Great Again became instantly recognizable, tapping into frustration, nostalgia, and a desire for change. Many voters saw him as a figure unafraid to challenge the political establishment.
What kind of issues were in your mind?
Jobs, outsourcing.
Outsourcing means moving your operations abroad to other countries.
Correct, and bringing jobs back to our country.
A lot of people we've spoken to have said that turnout seems to be pretty high this year.
A major strength of Trump's campaign was his understanding of media dynamics. Every headline, controversy, and statement, whether praised or criticized, kept his name in the spotlight.
George W. Bush in 2004, it has gone to Donald Trump.
Unlike traditional politicians who relied on scripted speeches, Trump delivered unscripted, emotional remarks that often dominated the news cycle.
Very special meaning, because today we are not merely transferring power from one administration to another or from one party to another, but we are transferring power from Washington, D.C., and giving it back to you, the people.
This relentless visibility gave him billions of dollars in free media coverage, unmatched by any other candidate. Presidency, 2017 to 2021. Donald Trump was inaugurated on January 20th, 2017.
Congratulations, Mr. President.
Early actions, executive orders on immigration and travel bans, cabinet appointments, including Rex Tillerson, James Mattis, Stephen Mnuchin, Jeff Sessions. Domestic policies, Tax Cuts and Jobs Act, 2017.
The tax cut.
Deregulation in energy, banking, and environment. Attempted changes to Obamacare. Appointed 3 Supreme Court justices: Neil Gorsuch, Brett Kavanaugh, Amy Coney Barrett. Foreign policy. Historic meetings with Kim Jong-un, North Korea.
My friend.
Trade war with China. Abraham Accords in the Middle East pressured NATO allies on defense spending. Controversies. First impeachment, 2019 to 2020, Ukraine scandal. Second impeachment, 2021, Capitol riot.
But whether or not they stand strong for our country.
COVID-19. Pandemic response criticized. Vaccine development supported.
To conduct clinical trials and mass produce 100 million doses of vaccine.
Key allies. Mike Pence, Vice President Stephen Miller, Senior Advisor Mark Meadows, Chief of Staff Family Advisors Ivanka and Jared Kushner. Trump's presidency reshaped politics, combining populism, media strategy, and polarizing rhetoric, leaving a lasting impact on U.S. society and governance. 2020 election and post-presidency. In 2020, Trump faced Joe Biden. Key factors: COVID-19, pandemic economic disruption, social unrest, and racial justice movements. Trump lost the election but challenged the results. Post-presidency, he maintained public presence with rallies, influenced Republican Party candidates and policies, faced legal scrutiny over finances and election-related issues. After leaving office in January 2021, Donald Trump did not retreat into private life.
People in the world, the greatest home in the world. I call it a home. We've had an amazing 4 years. We've accomplished a lot. We love the American people, and again, it has been something very special. And I just want to say goodbye, but hopefully it's not a long-term goodbye. We'll see each other again. Thank you all very much.
Unlike many former presidents, he remained highly visible, holding rallies across the country that drew thousands of supporters.
Battleground states and 15 districts to help win the president. We saw on the ground the motivation and the energy for the president of the United States with young people like they hadn't seen since Ronald Reagan. And I can tell you to this day, Donald Trump won the election.
These events were not just symbolic, they became platforms where he could endorse candidates, influence Republican primaries, and maintain direct contact with a loyal base. His presence ensured that he remained a defining figure within the party. Trump's post-presidency was also marked by legal investigations and civil suits, ranging from scrutiny over his business dealings to actions during his presidency. Beyond rallies and legal battles, Trump expanded his influence through media and communications.
Whenever God judged Jericho, he hid them in their walls where they had sacrificed their children for convenience. I'm telling you, late-term abortion in America is a spirit of Jezebel that'll come against this land, and judgment will fall in this nation unless we...
He cultivated a vast digital platform, including newsletters, social media channels, and new media ventures. His speeches and public appearances consistently set the news agenda, demonstrating that a former president could dominate headlines without holding office.
We're going to walk down, and I'll be there with you. We're going to walk down. We're going to walk down anyone you want, but I think right here we're going to walk down to the Capitol, and we're going to cheer on our brave senators and congressmen and women, and we're probably not going to be cheering.
As Trump signaled a potential run for 2024, he approached the political landscape with refined strategy and experience. He focused messaging on issues that resonated with his supporters: rising inflation, immigration concerns, and America's position in global competition. 2024 campaign and ongoing influence. Trump signaled a 2024 run, endorsing candidates and holding rallies. He remains the undisputed leader of the MAGA movement, shaping U.S. politics even outside the White House. Legacy. Donald Trump's legacy is multifaceted: political, redefined Republican Party and election campaigns; judicial, appointed conservative judges with long-term influence; economic, pre-COVID growth, tax cuts, deregulation; social, cultural, polarization, populist movement, media influence; global, unconventional foreign policy, peace deals, trade negotiations. Trump's story is one of ambition, risk-taking, and resilience. From Queens to Manhattan skyscrapers, casinos, global media fame, and the White House, his journey is both remarkable and polarizing. Family, allies, and controversies shaped his public persona, while his legacy continues to influence politics, policy, and the Republican Party today.